In today's video, we're going to have a look at weather for next week. In today's video, it looks like we're firming up on some very cold weather heading in from the east. Winds going round to the east next week, bringing the air right way in from the Urals. It's going to become very cold and possibly very wintry as well. Now, before I go on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my weather videos at gazweathervids.com. Please play those video ads. You'll be supporting gazweathervids.com if you do that. And I want to mention Gav Shop. You can click on the Gav Shop button, go through to Gav Shop, and then from there click on the amazon.co.uk banner, go through to amazon.co.uk and do your Christmas shopping, and at the same time you'll be supporting gazweathervids.com if you do. And if we get snowed in, of course, in some parts of the country, then you won't be able to get out and do your Christmas shopping, so you'll be able to do your shopping at Amazon and let them worry about how they get the presents to you, and you can do that through Gav Shop. So thank you very much for doing that. So we're going to start off with the stratospheric temperature forecast. This is actually what's going on over the stratosphere rather than a forecast. We can see that the black line here showing the temperature in the stratosphere over the North Pole. It was very cold through November, record-breakingly cold stratospheric temperatures. But just look how we've gone into December, how that stratospheric temperature has shot up, and it really has turned much warmer in the stratosphere over the pole now. Now, I wouldn't say this is a sudden stratospheric warming, it doesn't quite reach the threshold of that, but certainly we've seen a big rebound in the stratosphere compared to where we was in November. And of course, a warm stratosphere over the North Pole does coincide really with increased blocking over the North Pole, and increased blocking then turns the Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation negative. We bleed the cold air out from the pole into the mid-latitudes as it turns warmer actually in the North Pole itself. So it's interesting that we had that extremely cold stratosphere through November, but as we've gone into the start of the winter, that stratosphere has really shot up and rebounded. Probably because the stratosphere got so cold in November that it just had nowhere left to go. And it's interesting that this warming of the stratosphere, remember, it's not a sudden stratospheric warming, it doesn't reach the threshold for that, but this warming in the stratosphere is coinciding with much colder weather starting to develop in the mid-latitudes for us, and for many parts of Europe the cold weather has already developed, of course. So going on into next week, and we can see that we've got this area of low pressure to the northeast of Scotland on Sunday, with pressure to the south and to the north of the country, high pressure to the south and to the north. Now, this low pressure to the northeast of Scotland is the trigger for everything that happens next week, because it dives southwards in towards the North Sea, into the Low Countries and Denmark, and as it does so, we build the pressure up behind it around Iceland, and that pressure starts to retrogress, or starts to move towards this retrogressing area of high pressure coming out of Russia. That's for Monday. By the time we get through to Tuesday, these two areas of high pressure have formed one large blocking feature here to the north and the northeast of the country, so stretching from Iceland through Scandinavia back up towards Russia. And this low pressure then is sitting over Germany, and we're bringing down this very cold east to northeasterly wind. Now, even by Tuesday, this could be bringing snow showers into eastern parts of the country. This area of low pressure here sitting over Germany, that could become quite significant later next week. These are the thickness charts. We see the 528 line has cleared the British Isles by the start of next week, so it will be cold. But perhaps what's more important about this is that it also shows cloud. And look at this mottled white area here across southern Scandinavia, Denmark, down into Germany. That's a lot of cloud, snow-laden cloud there across central parts of Europe. The precipitation forecast for Tuesday showing a lot of precipitation here across central Europe, coming into the North Sea as well. This is nearly all going to be snow, and it'll be heading our way on an east to northeasterly wind. So as we move through into Wednesday the 12th, that's next Wednesday, we've got the low pressure here. It's moving out of Germany into the Low Countries, heading into the southern North Sea. That could well be taking longer spells of snow into southern and southeastern parts of the country. Then that low pressure sort of becomes sort of flat over the British Isles, but pressure is still weak by the time we get through to the end of next week, indicating that there's the chance of more snow perhaps in some places. So So certainly a wintry looking sort of outlook, and even as we go beyond this in towards the 10-day period, Sunday the 16th of December, we're maintaining that high pressure, the block up to the north of the country, stretching from Iceland towards Scandinavia. Very impressive block of high pressure, and low pressure is still tracking to the south. The jet stream, remember, the black line is the jet stream. That's tracking well to the south, going into central southern parts of Spain and Portugal. And this low pressure here could be bringing more snow up from the south. So this does look like it's going to be a week or so of really quite cold weather. Now, beyond this, there is indications that this low pressure might move further into the country, taking snow and possibly introducing somewhat milder weather by the time we get through, say, the 17th, 18th and 19th of December. So we might start to thaw out then around the 17th to the 19th. But that's a bit speculative. I wouldn't want to say too much about that. So just looking at the ECMWF, and again, it's very similar for Monday. We've got that low pressure diving down the North Sea. Remember, this is the trigger. If anything is going to go wrong with this pattern and we don't get the easterly, it'll be in the form of this low pressure not diving southwards enough to allow these areas of high pressure to build over the top. Now, all the models agree on the movement of this low pressure at the moment. It does look as though it's going to dive through the North Sea into Denmark and Germany, but this is the one thing that could go wrong with this still. It's still a day or two too soon to be absolutely 100% confident about this. It's an unusual movement for the low pressure to dive south like that. So that's the one thing that could go wrong, but certainly all the models are agreeing on its movement this morning. Now, as we go through to the Tuesday next week, we've got the low pressure here sitting across central parts of Europe. Notice these isobars kinking into the North Sea. That's the first signs of troughs or features starting to move in off the North Sea, possibly bringing snow in from the east. And then as we go through beyond that to Wednesday and into Thursday as well next week, again we've got that very nice blocking feature from Iceland stretching back to Scandinavia and into Russia as well. A proper block in the system, not allowing the low pressure to come in from the Atlantic as it would normally like to. So instead, the low pressure is having to dive southwards in towards Spain and Portugal. The NAO, North Atlantic Oscillation, is negative. And for us, notice these isobars are kinking here across the British Isles. We've got a T symbolised in the North Sea, all just really indicating that there's features, troughs, perhaps in areas of low pressure disturbances coming in off the North Sea, bringing the risk of snow to many parts of the country. And beyond this, as we go through to the 10-day period, the ECM this morning is showing a very deep area of low pressure developing in the North Sea would bring gale force winds and blizzards across the country. I'm not quite sure about that. It's probably a bit overdone. But nevertheless, certainly we're looking at a week at the moment of really quite cold weather, and then perhaps a bit of a thaw after that. The GEM, finally, the Canadian model for Monday, the low pressure is there. It's dived southwards through the North Sea, sitting over Denmark and Germany. Beyond that, the low pressure starts to move into the country, into the east on Wednesday, would be bringing the risk of snow coming off the North Sea. And going beyond this, it's staying cold really. The high pressure here up to the northeast is maintained to Sunday the 16th of December. Low pressure is trying to come up from the southwest. We've got a strong southeasterly gale here. I'm not sure about this, but if that's right, that's still maintaining cold weather really across the country, and this low pressure coming up from the southwest would be bringing snow as it moves in off the Atlantic. So all the signals this morning are for a very substantially cold week next week. Very cold easterly winds setting in from around Monday and Tuesday. Already by Monday and Tuesday we'll start to bring in some snow showers to the east. Beyond that, it just gets colder and colder and more wintry, with the risk of snow, significant snow, eventually moving in from the east through the course of next week. Will be disruptive in parts of the country if it comes off, but that's the signal this morning. I'll be keeping an eye on it, keeping updated all the time, making sure that low pressure does take that trap, the trigger low on Sunday and into Monday, diving through the North Sea into Denmark and Germany. I say that's where things could still go wrong with that low pressure moving through Central Europe, but it's a good agreement this morning. So that's it. I'll keep you updated, but that's it for now. Thanks for watching.